Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Vinyl Stallions. And we have a wonderful guest today. We have Mr. Mike Avdey, the VP of Talent Buying and Ticketing at the Prime Social Group. And way back before that, him and I went to grade school together here in Cleveland, Ohio. Mikey, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the intro. So excited to be here and chat with you guys. JJ, so good to see you. Adam as well. It's been a long time.
Absolutely. Good to see you again.
Yes. So, go Bulldogs, baby. That's where we'll start this thing.
Bulldogs, always.
But yeah, so as I said, yeah, Mikey grew up in the Cleveland area. Him and I have kicked it for a long time and stayed in touch. But dude, so you went to Ohio State and you were getting involved in kind of just being a part of the music. Like, there are two people that come to mind when I think of my grade school. It's yourself being involved in music, and then John Fana being a sports broadcaster of the sort. But you two, I just felt like were, no matter what, destined to kind of be in those two things. And like, you've really worked your like way up there. So kind of tell us first off how you got involved in the Prime Social Group and everything that came with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything kind of started back in college. I had a friend, actually my younger brothers had a friend whose dad was buddies with the O.A.R tour manager. And that's kind of how I got my start in everything. Was working for him for 4 years throughout college, learning about the touring industry, doing some hotel logistics, kind of working just from home as a part-time gig, and then got to go on the road with them for a little bit in 2015, which was a ton of fun. But that's kind of what introduced me to like being, behind the scenes, putting together shows, putting together events. And then it led me to getting involved with the concert programming board at Ohio State. So got involved there in the concerts committee, ended up booking, big shows our senior year. So we had Kesha and the Struts at the spring show, and then we had Ray Shremmer and A$AP Ferg at the fall show. So
hell yeah, those are big as
real
hell.
good ones there.
Where would those take place at? I remember hearing about those shows. Was it in like a big grass area?
So it used to be, and that was before, like a few years beforehand, it used to always take place like on the South Oval on campus there. And then the one year, Big Sean was the fall concert, and it kind of just got super crowded and honestly a little bit dangerous with just a bunch of people coming in from like non-OSU students.
True.
So the university kind of shut that down a little bit, unfortunately. So we had to find some alternatives. We did some shows at the Shot and Scene Center, like the arena indoors, but then we also went and kind of built our own little space out in the parking lot of the Shoe, in one of the like northern parking lots, just to kind of get like an outdoor atmosphere going.
It's innovative, baby. It's there, not being used.
Yeah. Exactly. We had to look for different venues. So it was actually through OUAB, which is the programming board, that I met the previous like concerts director, who introduced me to one of the founders of Prime Social Group during my senior year. So I got involved with the Number Fest in Athens, which is one of their main, their first kind of festival that started in breakaway business. Back, they were doing those shows from early 2000s and partnered up, in 2011, and then took it to, this big festival. And that's kind of how I got my start with Prime Social Group, and then just continued on from there.
Okay, dude. Yeah, no, I mean, I went to OU. Those Number festivals were crazy, but you guys had like Kendrick at one point. Like it was like there were some crazy names even early on.
Yeah. So the founder, Dominic Petrosi, he started Number Fest like way back in the day, and then ended up partnering with Prime to kind of like take it to the next level. I think it was like early 2000s, I want to say. And that's when, some of the bigger acts started kind of coming in, and it started being, a ticketed event and all that. So it's definitely some fun years there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know too.
Yes. I actually just visited there last weekend for the first time in a long time.
Ooh.
I made it out safely. I'm here talking, so that's all that matters.
Unscathed, maybe a little scathed. I don't know.
we'll say halfway there. But yeah.
Really quick, Mikey, just for the people, like Spruce and I know, but not everyone in the audience knows, what exactly does Prime Social do?
Yeah, so we're a full scale concert and festival events promotions and production company. So, there are obviously different companies out there that do what we do. Live Nation and AEG probably being, the two biggest in the country and around the world as well. But we produce live events, doing less of the concerts nowadays, and focusing more on the festival space. But we have relationships with all the major agencies, so we, book all of our talent in house. We source all of our production vendors, our staging vendors, all of the site ops equipment, security. We, work with the local municipalities and local kind of stadium crews, arena crews, and any other, venue that we're going into, just to basically put together an event from the ground up. So, it could be a parking lot in Ohio next to the soccer stadium, or the speedway track down in Charlotte, or a grassy football field up in, or a baseball field up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But we kind of go in, bring all the talent together, sell the tickets, just, full scale, just live events and festivals.
And so I was looking at your website as well. I mean, it even said you guys like had some artists. Like, what exactly does that entail? Like, are they signed under the Prime Social Group as well? Like, are you guys managing
Yeah,
them?
there's a management company as well that started over the past few years, and they currently manage Gashi, Night Tales, and Moonlander. And in the past, have managed Kid Quill and Emoji. I think are some previous clients as well. But Gashi obviously being the biggest there, super big kind of pop. Started off in hip hop, but is more in the pop lane now. Big artist. But that's another side of the business as well that it has expanded to in the past couple of years.
It's a one-stop
Very
shop.
cool.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Everything you need.
Absolutely. And so for the people out there are out there as well. So the Prime Social Group puts on the Breakaway Festival, which is a very
Yes.
big one, and it started in Columbus.
Hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but and then now you guys are up to like, what are you up to? 5 city or 5 states at this point you're covering?
Yeah, five breakaways this year. So it'll be started in Columbus, Ohio in 2013, and actually it was a little bit ahead of its time. I think the first year was a little rougher. I actually went to it when I was at Ohio State as a freshman, um, and didn't do as hot as I would have liked the first year, but it came back in 2016 with a Chance the Rapper headline, and Young Thug, R.L. Grime, Dylan Francis, kind of a nice, really
Damn,
good
that's a
lineup
line.
back. And then from there, it's just kind of snowballed in Columbus, expanded to Grand Rapids, Michigan in 2017, and Charlotte, North Carolina as well. Had a couple years prior to the pandemic down in Nashville, Tennessee. And then this year, kind of post pandemic coming out of everything, we're expanding into Kansas City, Missouri, which is the first year for that one. And then also the Bay Area out in California.
And I messaged you like, this is, I feel like how we started talking the past couple of weeks, but I was like, dude, I think it was a Kansas City lineup was just like kick ass. I was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, you got
Thank
the
you.
chain smokers and a whole just list. But yeah, so that's, dude, that's wild and crazy that you guys have expanded like this single festival. Like, I don't know. I don't know. There's like, it's usually just like one festival in my mind
Mhm.
in like one city, and then they'll like change the name or something. But I like the idea of keeping it the Breakaway Festival, and there are 5 different locations. You have all these different opportunities to go see. The lineups change here and there, but I mean the Chainsmokers are rolling for a whole lot of them that you've released so far.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you. It's kind of a cool concept because we like to just bring kind of the ethos of breakaway, having, getting away from your day to day, whatever you're doing, your job, your struggles, whatever's going on in your life, you can come and just have a great time for a couple of days, see some really big acts in some of these markets where, there's not a major festival, right? Like Columbus doesn't have another major music festival. Grand Rapids, Michigan, you could argue Electric Forest is close to there, but it's not like in the city, right? So you can literally grab an
Yeah,
Uber 10 minutes from your house and go see some of these huge acts that might not, be there otherwise. That's kind of what we love to do, and expand to some other markets too, that, the same kind of thing.
it's strategic because I have been bitching for the past like 2 or 3 years that Cleveland the only festival that I know of that's like in Cleveland is that Bright Winter Festival. February outside. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Right.
Like I just put it in the summer. Come on. But yeah,
I
so
know, I know.
but you guys are
It's
doing it right.
yeah, yeah, and we're, always seeking new opportunities as well. But Cleveland's music scenes, it's getting there. It continues to grow. There's obviously a lot of good shows to come through, Nautica and House of Blues and Blossom and all that.
We're singing King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard tomorrow at the
No
Agora.
way.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, the Agora too.
They go to Kemba Live the following day on Saturday.
nice.
Who are you seeing at Kemba?
No, we're not going. I'm just saying King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard,
Oh,
they
King
go to
Gizzard.
Kemba the following
Got it.
day.
Got it. Got it.
Kemba's a nice
I
venue
might.
though.
Yeah, it is. I've seen a lot of good shows there.
I've never
It's a
been
good one.
outside. I've only been down the inside. Or I
Ooh,
Same.
outside's fun. It's a nice, like, kind of like smaller pavilion style, like where it's yeah, the stage actually flips directly around
oh cool.
back there. But yeah, it's a good venue. Nice for some summer shows.
Nice. And so your so your role has obviously like changed a little bit because you started out as like
Mhm.
a booking coordinator, correct?
Yes.
So would you actually just like be searching out like little artists, making those phone calls, trying to connect? Like, was that your role?
So it's a little bit more of just kind of like learning the ropes, I would say. So one of the company's co-founders, is still very heavily involved in the talent buying process. He has a lot of the relationships with some of the agents that we work with on a day-to-day basis. So when I started at Prime Social, I was kind of working under their current, booking manager or booking director, whatever you want to call it. Just kind of learning the ropes of, okay, this is, what a typical artist deal looks like. This is, the typical type of fee we would pay them. These are all the different things that could be contained in the deal. This is how you book a show, and kind of liaise between the venue and the promoter, which would be us, and the artist, and
Okay.
kind of just how all that back and forth communication works, and the process of booking, and the process of settling a show, and who gets paid out, and kind of what all that looks like. And that's basically where I learned all the ropes, and kind of got involved on a part-time basis with Prime Social Group. And then there was a unique opportunity later that year where the marketing and ticketing director took another role and left the company. So I was able to step in and kind of dive into ticketing and learn everything about ticketing and admission, and access control and gate operations that I could for 2017 through 2019. That's kind of where I got my site, festival ops experience in as well.
Do you get like nervous before your events? Because dude, I just feel like that is a lot. Like there's so much more that goes into just like people are just like ticketing. Oh, okay. So you control just the thing of tickets, but there's so much more involved. In like, I don't know. Can you go into that a little bit more? Like what
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot to it. And I used to get super nervous, like when I was first started, because I would essentially, be the ticketing manager. So day to day, make sure that all of our pricing that we set up with, we work with, different ticketing companies, and we are contracted with Front Gate Tickets, which is a major ticketing provider across the U.S., and they handle a lot of big festivals. But day to day, it would be fulfilling, complimentary ticket requests, making sure that our pricing was correct, and that pricing changed, during certain times because it was tiered in order to make, the money coming in for the festival. Making sure all the links were correct, and all of the information on there was correct, and the whole entire checkout process flow for the attendee was giving all the correct information as well. So there's all these little details that kind of go into that I never really thought about, but it's all a pretty manual process because it's all very customizable. Certain messaging here or there, and then leading up to the festival, we would also be running the operations on site. So we would have to coordinate, hire, and train our box office staff, and kind of oversee the box office, making sure our hours posted were correct, making sure all of our equipment arrived on time, and we were able to, fulfill all of our customer orders correctly, and train fans on how to come in. If they had questions about their order, we could help them get into the event. If there was a fraudulent ticket, we could kind of work with them to explain the situation and kind of de-escalate. So there's a lot of customer service based,
Yeah.
things with that as well. But I used to like have dreams, and I'd wake up and like remember something in the middle of the night and like write it down on my phone. I'd have like these dreams about work that it was, oh man, it was, I'm a little bit better now. They still come, once it gets to the festival season, but
Yeah,
definitely some nerve wracking experiences.
I would imagine. I would imagine.
Okay, so sort of going off that, I have like a what comes first, the chicken or the egg type of
Okay.
question. Because one of the things you just mentioned was like figuring out pricing. So
Hmm.
I guess like just from a whole process standpoint, when you guys are saying like, okay, we're gonna throw an event, does your director of booking sort of just be like, I'm just gonna go seek the biggest names, like no matter what the price is, and that will sort of guide how you price it? Or do you sort of say like, okay, at this venue, like I think we could sell tickets for this amount, and then your director of booking has to spend accordingly?
Yeah. So the way that it works, I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into it, and it's especially different for each market that we go into. But we kind of take a holistic approach and take the entire festival budget, right? And we come up with, okay, these are all our costs that go into it. This is our target artist spend. So the target amount that we want to spend on the artist, because that's obviously the most variable, right? Certain artists cost
Mm-hmm.
a lot more than others. Sometimes you might get an artist that's touring this year that you think could sell you the same amount of tickets for maybe 2/3 of the cost of another artist, and they just happen to be available on this specific weekend, and it works out that you're able to book them. That's a big cost savings there, that you might not get otherwise, right? So there's a lot of things that go into it on the
Mm-hmm.
artist side, but kind of having that artist budget and the overall festival budget, take that and figure out a nice break even point. So say, hey, we want to break even at maybe 6,000 tickets per day, or maybe it's 8,000 tickets per day, which is a little bit higher, and kind of take that and scale ticketing accordingly, based on previous trends in previous years. So we'll look at the past years and say, typically, in the month of May, we'll see this many sales. June, we'll see this many sales. Maybe we see, 30% of all sales happen in that last month because people are, late buying. And we try to project kind of what our pricing strategy will look like, and have those kind of price increases to make sure that we're hitting our revenue goals at the right times. Obviously, taking a look at other similarly priced shows in the market too, to make sure that we're not, overpricing ourselves or not undervaluing and devaluing the product as well.
That's very cool. So it sounds like, like a big part of it is like a little bit of financial modeling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's for a festival company, that would be a very, very tough thing to do, and something that, we sort of had to kind of figure out on our own when we started doing the breakaways. But, now at this point, we have, 3, 4 years of data in some of these markets to where we're able to kind of model and see the trends on how fans are buying, and, make some educated guesses based on that.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is awesome, dude. So something that you mentioned, how
A
you
lot
like,
goes into it, but
yeah, something that you mentioned earlier that I have to ask about
Mhm.
is you said you toured with O.A.R. To get your
Yeah.
start. Like, 99.999 people can never say they like went on a tour. How was that experience? Like what was it like? How long was it for?
Yeah, so the tour itself was a few months, kind of leading, late summer into fall. So I was only able to be on the road for about 4 weeks for that tour, about half of it, or maybe like a little less than half, right before school started, because I had to get back to Ohio State for classes. But it was right at the end of the fall there, and I was, essentially a production assistant for the tour manager, not as much in actual like technical production, but more, like a PA role, where I was, just a lot of assistant work. Basically, the first one off the bus every morning, meeting our promoter reps in each city, trying to figure out where the catering area was, where the green rooms were, so we kind of get those marked off for the different band members and make sure they knew where they were going.
That's
We
awesome.
take a look at, make sure all the stuff that we'd kind of advanced was there, and ready to go. And then throughout the day, anything that the band needed, there was usually like a runner in every city, and I would be the kind of point person to tell the runner like, hey, we need these types of things. I'll float you some cash, kind of go make sure everything's reconciled at the end of the night. Work on all the guest list ads, make sure that all the special VIP folks were taken care of. Set up the meet and greets so that all the fans would, that paid for a meet and greet or had, a complimentary meet and greet could come through and have a nice experience. And then honestly, just make sure kind of be the last ones back on the bus at the end of the night, making sure everything got wrapped up properly and we were all good to go. So, I was, 2-3 shows in a row and get 6 hours of sleep and you're on your feet all day. You're pretty exhausted by the time you get a day off, and I was really just in the hotel room on those days off, just like trying to process what had been going on and trying to catch up on everything else.
Like a new city. I mean, it's the aspect of like just the cities for me. Like I just feel like that's just free travel. Like no matter what, like you're still just experiencing it. Like was there any cool city that you went through that you just like, I don't know, haven't been to again, or I don't know, wouldn't have thought was that cool?
Yeah, I mean, the thing was like during the show days, we were really just, at the venue from 7 a.m. to
True.
2 a.m. most of the days. So, but I got to see some really cool venues, I will say. I got to see Meriwether Post Pavilion, which is in Maryland. Super cool amphitheater out there. That was one of the tour stops. And then we got to go to what I think it's a new name now, but it was then the Blue Hills Bank Pavilion in Boston. It was like right on the water there. So that was super cool being outside. There was a really good lobster roll place next door. I remember that.
Oh, don't even get started.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Those are really cool. And then those are like the two memorable that stick out to me. You got to go to Dino Barbecue in Syracuse on a day off, which was a nice like day off activity to do.
Yes.
But it was mostly kind of like Northeast, amphitheaters and kind of outdoor venues, which was really fun.
And like O.A.R, dude, like they're such a fun band. I was listening to
gosh.
the craziest game of poker I've ever saw like earlier today.
Yeah, they're so good. They're legends, and they're just like the nicest people you could be out on the road with.
And they're from
like,
Columbus, right?
Yeah, they met at OSU.
Okay.
Yeah, they got their start at OSU, like just blowing out frat parties, just getting crazy amounts of people to come, and then they sold out the Newport on their own, and yeah, they just kind of blew up from there.
And I actually saw them at OSU. It would have been the year before you were there, Mike. But it was at the free concert in the fall. So that would have been a fall of 2012. And they put on a great show.
Yeah, they're such a good live band. Like always just crush it. Have everyone, everyone has a great time.
All right. I want to move the conversation. You just mentioned live bands. I want to warp back to 7th grade, Mikey Avdey, me,
Let's
you,
go.
and shout out to Wald Avdey, Mike's dad. Knows like I just feel like he's a music guru. But I remember going out to the Lake Erie Captain Stadium with you.
I'm so jealous of this.
Seeing Stone Temple Pilots, and I will never forget. It was one of my first concerts, and we were back in the like stands, and there was one of those little I don't know, concession stands, and your dad was just like, go, you guys sneak behind it and go. I'm staying back here. And that was one of the craziest experiences ever.
It was insane. I remember, oh my gosh, I was just like, yeah, we're having a good time, but like, look at all those people down there. And then there was just like, well, we probably could just kind of like jump down there and run in and no one would find us, right? And yeah, you're like, yeah, let's do it.
So many people were doing it, and then when we got your dad's permission, I was like, all right, we just that's one of my honestly few experiences in like an honest like mosh pit. Like people were just getting like tossed left and right, and like I didn't have the appreciation at the time for the Stone Temple Pilots. Like looking back on it now, I'm like, holy shit, I can say I saw them before he passed away.
With Scott Weiland.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, rest his soul.
Sounds like you boys got down somewhere in the Vaseline.
heavily in the Vaseline.
Very heavily. But dude, that was a insane experience. But like, I don't know, dude, you just like I said it earlier, how I was just like, I feel like I knew you were gonna be in music. You just knew so much new music when it came out. I remember you showing me like like Zeppelin on a ride. Like, I don't know, we were driving back from CYO basketball or some shit, and you were
Yeah.
just like, Zeppelin was on. You're like, dude, these guys are the best. And I was like, I've always heard of them. I thought Led Zeppelin was like a single person, like when I first heard of them.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like my dad was always turning me on to music, and then growing up, I was like the classic rock guy, right? Like, and you were one of the few people that I could talk to, like you and like Anthony Ertl, and because you were a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and you had all these other bands too. That like, remember like Meatloaf is one that I was like, well, who's Meatloaf? And you're like, you got this song,
Oh,
and
I
like
just
Queen and
showed
all these
Club
guys.
Meatloaf earlier. Dude, I literally was just talking about Meatloaf.
Yeah, like vividly, like I'm remembering like all these acts I used to know, and like you and like Ertl and like a couple other people were like the music guys back in the day. But yeah, it kind of just like turned into something where I was like, hey, I really love live music specifically, and I love going to concerts, and I wanted to figure out how to be behind the scenes and how to be the one to kind of put those on and continue to create those experiences for others. That's just like what I wanted to do.
Awesome, man. Like you are, that's freaking awesome that you are in it. Like, and so as you mentioned before, I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like your dad and honestly both your parents. I saw your parents last year at Dave Matthews Band over in Blossom when I was just walking by, and they're like,
Nice.
JJ. I was like, of course you're here. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my mom being the opera singer, and
Yeah,
she sang for a long time. Like,
that's right.
she gave me the technical skills that I used to be able to play music a lot more than I do now. But it was kind of that combination that encouraged me and sparked me to continue that on to my professional life.
Dude.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
well,
let's back up there. Your mom was an opera
I
singer?
forgot about that. Holy crap.
Yeah, so she still sings. She sings at mass all over, and she does like different events and things like that. Like, she'll sing in the Italian Gardens for some concerts there in Cleveland on the east side, and she sang in opera, a lot of different operas around Cleveland as well. But she's very like technically trained and skilled, and that kind of passed along to me a little bit too. When I was growing up, I took piano lessons and played. JJ, I know we used to kind of go back and forth and sing and all that kind of stuff too. But I played bass for a little while, and now I just like to kind of strum the guitar whenever I get some free time. But she was kind of the big reason that I was able to perform at all. And then my dad kind of got me into all the 70s and 90s and 60s rock music that kind of like sparked everything.
Dude, it was the
Very
coolest
cool.
thing. You and your cousin just uh Jimmy Eat World out at the talent show. You were
Yeah.
like the first, like, not like my uncle playing in a cover band, like scene out where I was like, holy shit, I know him and he's fucking doing it. That was awesome. I'll never forget that.
He had his oh dude, I'm glad, like, he had his little like the backing track, the little drum track he played, because we
Yeah.
didn't have a drummer at the time, so it was just
Yeah.
like guitar and drum track, and I was just up there singing. It's like, yeah, it's a good song, let's do it.
Dude, that's awesome. What was the name of your band back like in high school? Like, weren't you in a band with like were you in a band with
Yeah,
like
with yeah, it was myself, Zach Dubiowski,
Doobie? That's what I was thinking of.
you know, yeah, Doobie as well. Love Doobie. So sad that he's not with us anymore.
No,
But
that kid
him and
knew
then
everything
Tyler,
music.
yeah, he was built for music. And then Tyler Anderson was our drummer. And then I'm sure you guys know all these guys too, but Greg Blanc kind of helped us record the album and play a lot of like backing tracks on it. And he played a couple shows with us like near the end of high school too. So it was kind of like us three and then us four. We're part of the Pluto Reinstatement Committee was the name.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I knew it was Pluto something. Pluto
Yeah, we had to
reinstatement.
tell everyone we disbanded because Pluto ended up being reinstated as a planet. So we could, the purpose of the band was fulfilled.
Fucking awesome.
Oh, it's good times.
What do you listen to nowadays? What do you catch yourself jamming out to?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place, really. Like I feel like back when we were in grade school and stuff, like Spotify wasn't around. So all the music we would get, would be like from your dad or my dad or like our parents, and we would kind of share it organically. But now it's crazy. Like once all these streaming platforms came around, everything's at your fingertips, and I feel like everyone's music taste just exploded so far because you can get into all kinds of different things. So obviously, I need to keep my ear to the ground in terms of electronic music, and because that's kind of the majority of what we book as a company, and we're always looking for the next up and comers. But we're also expanding into like just a general pop music realm as well, because that fits really well with electronic. And then historically we've been known to do some throw some hip hop in there, and kind of get that. So for work, it's a lot of keeping up on that kind of stuff. But my personal tastes have evolved, and I would say in general, like my core is still probably like indie alternative rock music. Newer stuff I've been listening to, the new Arcade Fire album's really good, and that's been on repeat. Obviously, the new Red Hot Chili Peppers album's been awesome. Yeah, go Chili's! Super excited they're back with Vishanti. Been listening to the new Kendrick album, trying to figure out kind of what's going on there the past couple days.
It's hard to decipher.
I know.
There's so much.
Like, some days I'm like, wow, this album's really good.
Dude, I mean, I've only listened to it, like we're gonna do a review of it. We've talked about it, but
nice.
But I caved and listened to it. And I listened to it all, and then I was like, wait, I don't even know which one's my favorite on here right now. I have to, like, I don't even remember any of these, and I have to go back. It's much more like mellower than Damn, and like I enjoyed it a lot though. It was like I flew by in a second.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's like it's very interesting. It's some days I'm like, this is really good. Some days I'm like, I can't tell, you know what I mean? But I keep listening to it, like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some really good ones recently. There's some other good albums. A lot's been coming out this year. Kurt Vile is one of my favorites. Like, just I don't know if you guys are familiar with him at all.
Not
Kurt Vile.
Not too much, no.
Okay, so he's like he's from Philadelphia, but he's a singer-songwriter. He one of his big influences is Neil Young, but he just has this kind of like drawl of a voice, and he just makes like mesmerizing, like kind of chill, some would say like semi-psychedelic indie guitar music. Like, it's really good. It's stuff that I can just put on in the background and then just kind of like puts me at ease, but it's also just really cool melodies and kind of keeps you hooked. He had a new album come out a couple weeks ago, so I'm like super into that right now too.
And wait, what was his name one more time?
I need to Kurt Vile.
All right, I'm getting involved. Kurt, I'm coming for you.
coming for you, Kurt. But yeah, so I mean, that's some new stuff for sure. And then I get somewhat into like the heavier stuff too. Like Bring Me the Horizon is like a big favorite of mine over the past couple of years. They kind of like turned from their metalcore days, which I wasn't really like a big fan of, but now it's like kind of reminds me of like Linkin Park, which they've said is one of their big influences too. So it's like super good, like going to the gym or just like blasting it on the way, somewhere with the windows down type music.
Yeah, they just announced fall tour dates.
They did. I don't think they're coming anywhere like close enough to where I can go with like what I have going on this fall. I'm super bummed. Like, I see them.
They do have a little bit. One of my buddies is really into them, and he like really wanted to go to the show up at Pine Knob in Clarkston, Michigan. It's like maybe hour and a half from Toledo. But
yeah,
it is bad. The schedule wise it won't work out for either of us, but
yeah,
I would definitely see that band live for sure.
Yeah.
What about live music? You got any live music outside of Breakaway that you're eyeballing for the rest of the year?
Yeah. Right now I have tickets to Tame Impala coming to Columbus.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Later this month. Oh my god, I'm super excited for that one. It's an outdoor show too, so it'll be really fun.
Oh man.
Where's it at?
So it's actually it's at Kemba Live, but what they're doing is they call it, I can't remember what they call it, like their festival event space or something, but they really
Mhm.
they turn the parking lot behind it into just a bigger venue. So it's like they build a stage out there, and they can sell, at least a few more thousand tickets to kind of make up for it, and then more. And they can target, some bigger acts that might be like too big to make the financials work in their outdoor amphitheater venue.
Damn. Damn, I would love
So that
to
would
see
be,
them.
yeah, they're great. Trying to think, I don't know if I have a ton of other tickets purchased for this year. I saw a good string of shows this spring. I saw Courtney Barnett, War on
Ooh.
Drugs, Manchester Orchestra. I think those are the big. Oh, and then I went and saw the Alt J and Portugal the Man tour as well.
Oh.
Okay, so you really are into that like indie rock genre.
Yeah, my dad actually is too now. He comes to all the shows with me still.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
I almost saw that Alt J Portugal the Man tour when they were in Pittsburgh because I was supposed to see John Mayer that same day. He got
Mm,
COVID, so the show was canceled. And my sister and I were just like, all right, Portugal and Alt J are playing at the basketball arena for University of Pittsburgh. And we thought
nice.
about it. We didn't end up pulling the trigger, but it was all good because we went to the casino and won a little money.
Never a bad day at the casino.
So
Sometimes there are.
I was gonna say, hi, I'm Mr. JJ Russo, and I got fucked.
What about you guys? Any good shows coming up that you're going out to see?
So yeah,
Yes.
we're doing the Giz one, and then we're actually gonna go to the
Yeah.
Sunny Days festival over at Nelson's Ledges. Have you ever been there?
Ooh, no.
Yeah, me neither. It's like right out. It's outside Cleveland, I think like 45 minutes, an hour or so. But
Hmm.
uh,
It's pretty close to Youngstown.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the people we've had on here is Rex Larkman. He's the drummer for Tropodelic, and so they're playing there. And they said they weren't playing there or playing around Cleveland for a long time. So we were like, all right, we're rolling to that then. So we have two this
Hmm.
tomorrow, and then Saturday as well. We're seeing the
Yeah.
Chili Peppers with the Strokes and Thundercat in August at
Dude,
in
I'm
Detroit.
jealous of that one.
Yeah, dude. I'm like not mentally prepared. I just will like watch Chili Pepper videos of like them performing at like the jazz festival that they just did in New
Hmm.
Orleans. And I'm like, I can't not believe we're just gonna be Pit just
Oh, yeah, Pit 2, dude.
oh
That's gonna be
we've had
insane.
these tickets since like October.
And it feels free at this point because the money's
Yeah.
been spent a long
Yeah,
time
it's been
ago.
spent. It's on last year's budget, right? Like,
Exactly.
Mhm.
But
that's awesome.
yeah, I'm trying to think what else. A lot of Dave. We're going to Noblesville for the back-to-back show of Dave Matthews, end of June
Ooh, sweet.
and Blossom.
Hmm.
But I don't know. There's a couple on my ball, like Flume's coming to Nautica, and I would
Ooh,
love to
yeah.
see Flume. Um,
Alicia
Hmm.
Keys, Nautica.
yeah, true. That's another
There you
one.
go.
But yeah, that's all I have right now. Club has a shit ton more.
Nice.
Not that many more. Just like I guess more Dave. Like I'm going to the Dave Clarkston, Michigan show, and
Hmm.
then Dave at Blossom. Um, there's a show in July that's got Bare Naked Ladies, Gin Blossoms, and Toad the Wet Sprocket in
Oh,
Dayton.
the
And there's
show.
actually a closer show in Detroit. Well, it's not Detroit, but it's I think Sterling Heights. They have an amphitheater out there. But I picked the
Okay.
one at Dayton because I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's called I think Rose Music Center. It's technically Huber Heights,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I've heard of that. I haven't been there.
it is one of the coolest outdoor venues. It's very
Really?
underrated because it's in Dayton. So, like, why would a lot of people know about it? But it's so cool. It's like way bigger than you would expect for a venue in Dayton. And it's like state of the art. Like, it
Hmm.
had to have been constructed probably within like the last 10 to 20 years. And I want to say it can hold like 10,000 people. So it's decent sized.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I've seen a lot of advertisements. They got a lot of like big shows coming through there, but I haven't been. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I saw Incubus there last year, and that's what made me like really appreciate it.
Nice. Great band.
Yeah, they're coming to Blossom this summer too.
Dude, there's
You know,
so
I might have to
many.
get up to Blossom for a show or two.
Do it, man. There's so many coming this summer. I was overwhelmed. But all I know is I think
It's like,
Tenacious D sold out.
oh man, can't see your boy Jack Black. It's like crazy. I think just after COVID, like so many artists, and we found the same thing trying to book this year. It's so crowded, and the space is so crowded because everyone was, people released records over that time, but you couldn't tour on it. So a lot of the stuff that I remember listening to, like stuck at home in early 2020, by the time, late 2021 hit or even 22, it's like, that's like an old album in this day and age. And it's hard to like tour off that unless you're a major band. So it's like a lot of acts kind of just missed the window, or they waited, and they, so many albums are coming out this year and they're touring all at the same time. It's so crowded. Consumers just have so many choices.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it by the ticket prices.
You would know
Yeah,
it by my
ticket prices
wallet.
are exactly. Well, yeah, no one's charging less fees. The artists aren't at this point.
Mhm.
They're
We'll
making
still
their money.
pay. I've never.
Yep.
We were talking about this last time. I've never regretted going to a concert in my life. Would you say have you ever regretted being like, why am I here?
I don't think so. I think I'm always like, I would rather be at a concert than just like go to a random, the same bar they go to every weekend, right? Like if I had to
Exactly.
choose, I'd rather just
Exactly.
have some good live music, right?
Hmm. So, okay, this is one question we ask every guest since we're on the topic of live music. What
Okay.
is the most bizarre, strange, unique, however you want to say it, thing that you've seen at a concert?
Ooh, good question.
It could be like from the band that's playing, from somebody in the crowd, like, I mean,
Yourself.
even if it's like something from
Yeah.
your tour with O.A.R that happened like behind the scenes, like anything, just strangest thing that you've seen at a show.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I didn't actually see it, but I was there. Was last year. So I was actually working for Front Gate Tickets, the ticketing provider that I mentioned, coming out of the pandemic. So I worked for them for last July through December, and I was at the Welcome to Rockville show down in Daytona, which is actually taking place this weekend this year. Are you guys familiar with that
Okay.
one?
I've
A
heard
little
of it.
bit.
Yeah, but not too much.
Okay, it's a big show. Last year the headliners were who's there? Metallica did the Black Album.
Oh,
They
wow.
Yeah, they had Leonard Skinner, they had Stained, they had Slipknot. Pretty big, like heavy metal and rock festival.
Yeah, those are
One of
huge
the
names.
Yeah, and so I was working in ticketing operations. So I was like mostly like around looking at the box offices and the gates, kind of around those areas. But later that night, we were kind of just like decompressing, getting a drink at the hotel bar, and someone that was working working from the festival side of the show came in, and they were like, "Did you guys hear about what happened on that Brass Against show earlier in the day?" And we're like, "Brass Against? We were just talking about them. They're like a super cool kind of like band. I think they're about to get an offer to go on tour with a pretty big band. I can't remember um the name of the band they're about to go on tour with, but they were like kind of up and coming. And the lead singer is the female. She invited a fan up on stage, and she urinated on him. Like he laid down on the stage and urinated in his
Pause.
mouth. And
What?
yeah, I swear to God, go look it up right now. Search like Brass Against singer, and there was like a video that came out and everything.
I have so many
And
questions.
Yeah, like who initiated that? Was he holding the sign "pee on me," or was she like, "You come here, I'm gonna pee on you"?
I think he was holding some sort of sign up that like got her to notice him from the crowd, and then I guess she was just like, "I have to pee," and then he was like, pee on me, and then like got down, and she was just like, "Whatever, we're doing this." It was
The
like at the end
adrenaline.
of the set. Yeah, it was like at the end of the set, whatever. And so like that just
Holy
happened, and it was completely sensual, right? Like he was like, he got up, he like went back out there, like he was not, mad about it. And everyone was just like, what the just happened? Like it was insane. We're just listening to this, like that happened here today at this festival we're working.
Holy shit, dude. That's
So
absurd.
wait, did she just like
Yeah.
drop her drawers and pop a squat? Was she like not wearing underwear?
We'll
Like
send you the link.
what were the logistics?
Oh my God, that's terrible. Where can I see it? Right? Like you want to know like, what's going on. You can see it online, but I think she just like dropped, and then like walked off, and then like I'm pretty sure they like someone cleaned it up like right after, because there was another band that had to come on. They had a set change. Yeah, it was like most bizarre. That's definitely takes the cake for the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced while working or attending a show.
Well, that is a good one. Holy shit. Wait, what city was this in?
Daytona, Florida. So
Dude,
it's taking place at the Speedway down there.
We're just gonna say this is now the second most bizarre story I think that we've had from Daytona, Florida. I think the Deadlicks were a band from Chicago that
I think this one's probably a little more bizarre.
It's a little
than
bit more
theirs,
bizarre.
though.
Really?
Yeah.
More bizarre. All right, let me hear that.
There's they just got
they were clowning and got tossed out, but they were one of the bands that was supposed to play. So they have the University of Dayton has this thing called Dayton at Daytona, and like they met at Dayton, and so they were supposed to play for it,
but got kicked out of
their
their
hotel.
hotel.
Were clowning around at the hotel and got thrown out of their own concert.
No.
But they said apparently when they went back to Dayton after that, like they were known as the band that got thrown out, so they had like hundreds of people just showing up and like fueled them.
Dude, it's legend. I mean, honestly, that's like a huge press moment for the band, I'm sure. Like that's probably awesome.
No, dude, it's awesome. They actually have a record dropping tonight at midnight, the Deadlicks. Shout out to them.
I saw you guys were posting about that. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
You like indie rock, and this album, so spoiler alert, they let Spruce and I listen to it ahead of time. It is very indie rock.
Perks of the biz. Perks of the biz.
The perks.
I guess you could say it's our first VIP feeling. But no, the album is really good, and like based on some of the artists that you've been like mentioning, you would definitely dig it.
Sweet. I'll take a listen. I probably won't be up until midnight tonight these days, but I will listen tomorrow.
Love it. Well, Mike, man, I appreciate you coming on, and honestly, it's great to just touch base in general on a friend level, but it's love as well. I love hearing just your success and just everything that's happening. So I very much appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. It's nice to chat and reminisce a little bit too, and just good to see you're doing well, JJ and Klep. After all these years, you still made it.
Absolutely. And at the end of the year, another spoiler alert, we are going to do an episode, because like I said, we asked that question about most bizarre thing you've seen in a show to every guest, and we are going to go through at the end of the year and sort of rank them, and I will be shocked if yours isn't number one or very close to it.
Oh my god.
I love it. Well, there's a couple more months left in the year to get some more stories, so I hope you find some crazy ones
and more concerts to be had.
Yes, 100%.
Love it, man. Well, shout out to music. Shout out to you, Mike Avdey again, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Social Group. Mikey, we end every podcast, if you listen, I think you might know if you said you listen to Nirvana one, with a nice little nay. So, but let's do a little sign out first. So my name is Spruce.
Right.
I'm Klep.
And I'm Mike.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallions.